Hello, everyone. Welcome to our weekly episode of Something New, the Why podcast, Something New Live, the Why. I am here with the great founder and CEO of Something New. I will bring him in first. I don't know if you've ever heard this, but People Over Everything is here. Here he is. Hello. I can see a little bit of the pink tinge in the shirt, so I'm excited.
This is Pink Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Get your shirts. All proceeds to charity.
I love it. I love it. I'm going with Dilly Dilly today because we had a nice win in the last minute last night. Although
congrats.
It was pathetic. That's okay. So we have a really special guest today. So this whole entire show is based on us and Something New and our why, right? Why it is we do what we do, why it is we're here, why we get up in the morning, and what makes us tick, and what People Over Everything truly means and what we truly do. So we brought on a guest who I happen to think, I mean, you're very important. You're founder of the company and CEO and everything, but I happen to think that person is really the backbone of the existence of Something New. So I'm going to bring in the wonderful and beautiful Kathy Leckey. Hi, Kat.
Hello.
Hi.
I've got my blue People Over Everything on.
Very nice.
I feel bad. Maybe I should do a quick change. I feel bad, but I had to represent the birds. But everybody knows I'm a real strong People Over Everything girl. So what I want to do is in the next 20-ish minutes, I would love to sort of hear about how you became what I call the backbone of this company. And a little bit about both of the glue and the backbone of and then a little bit more on a personal level, your why and what makes you tick. So if you just want to start, that would be awesome.
Yeah, I think those are both exaggerations. I mean, Scott is really the backbone of this company, and my joy comes from just helping him do the things that he wants to do and, make his vision happen. So one of my favorite stories to tell is how I ended up at Something New, because I lived in Connecticut and where Scott lives, and our kids we had crossed paths apparently in the past, but I didn't know Scott at all. And I did. Yeah. And so I had to move out of town. I moved out of state for family reasons. And while I was there, Scott started Something New, and he messaged me through LinkedIn, like he does. He connected with me. And in his message, he said, if I can ever be a resource to you, let me know. And I thought, nice message, nice guy, but I'll never need your services. So thanks very much.
Right.
So 2 years later, I found myself ready to move back to Connecticut, and I was back in the market, and he was the first person that I thought of. And so I reached out to him right away, and he said, that he wasn't going to be able to help me, find a job, which is what I wanted him to do. Hi, Linda. But he said that he had this ASAP, that the accelerated search advanced placement process that he would take me through. Is really an in-depth interview to find out exactly what I wanted, what my skills were, where I was coming from, just basically everything about what I wanted for my perfect next step. And I remember the phone call. He put me at ease right away, and I was talking to him and telling him everything, not holding back at all, and he had said, like, I'll take you through this process. We'll find out exactly what you can do. And then he said, I've got a lot of connections. I can just introduce you to somebody. Mm-hmm. So I was like, that's perfect. That's all I need is just, open the door for me. So we go through this phone call. Actually, he was busy a couple of times, but I persisted. So I finally got him on the phone. I remember the phone call like vividly. He asked me all of these questions. I gave him all the answers. And at the end of the call, he says, well, I didn't see this coming, but I could use you.
Right.
And so he said, I don't care if you move back or if you stay there or whatever. And I literally started working with him the next day.
Wow.
And
we moved fast.
Yeah, the next day.
I know all about it.
Yeah.
Move fast and break shit.
But he actually, because of that, I was able to get back. So I did end up moving my family back to Connecticut. And so, Something New has been a very steady and great, part of my life for the last 4 years, 4+ years now.
So, I guess what I would say is, how did you know that you wanted to be a part of it? I mean, I know Scott made you feel at ease, and I know that you needed something or you wanted something and you sort of felt, but what did he say to you, or what did you guys discuss as his vision that sort of made you say, you know what? Yeah, I do want to be a part of this.
Yeah, I didn't want really didn't want a job, and I was interviewing in other places, and I was talking to Scott about the opportunities that I had. But I definitely knew that Scott had something different. He had a vision, and it was, we met the first time when I came back to visit. We met, and he brought me Something New swag. It was the free T-shirt, which is why I signed up.
Got her with the swag. It works every time.
It works every time, Scotty.
Yeah. But he did. He brought. He was very concerned. I don't know what the word is, but he was it was like kind of like Scott, who Scott is right now. He's very concerned about my whole picture. He wanted the best opportunity for me also. And in the end, I just felt, it was a feeling, like I felt like this was the right choice for me. And I chose it over the other options that I had at the time. And I'm so thankful that I did. I like a startup. I at that time I was weighing my options between like a corporate kind of, I don't want to say steady as if we're unsteady, but the corporate path or the startup path. And I've always been around startups. And I love that. I love that environment.
That environment.
Definitely made the right choice for that.
I know just the feeling that you mean because of my experience. Obviously, it was a lot later than yours, but that feeling of just sort of like, I have this big corporate role that I could take, or I could go start up, and where's my heart and how do I decide? And Scott and, everybody on the team sort of helping me to see the big picture and why I wanted to go the route that I wanted to go. And then how satisfying it is once you do it. It's more of a life decision for me, I think,
right.
At Something New than it is a career decision. It felt like a life decision. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Quality of life. And other opportunities have come my way over the last 4 years, and I've been able to talk to Scott about that. He's very, he's open to having difficult conversations, honest conversations. And so, but in the end, I've always wanted to stay here. And, I just see, like, even in the past year, so much has happened, and it's so exciting. And, like I said, I told Scott this morning, I was up at 4 o'clock in the morning because there's so much to do. And I can't wait to get things done because there's just so much good stuff going on.
And you really are. I mean, Kathy, you're really, and I want to get Scott's perspective on a couple of things, but before we do that, and I want to dig a little bit more personally for you, but like, you're really the go-to, like every single thing that like people on the team can't do, we're like, all right, we'll just ask KL. Like we go to Kathy. Like Scott's always like, that's a Kathy job. Like Kathy's got it. Kathy. And it's just so funny because
I have no answers. I got nothing.
He's like uploading his download and downloading his upload.
Right.
And he's not sure, and
right.
We know that Scott is very, very skilled in what he's skilled in. Technology.
He is, absolutely. He's a master at what he does.
A master of what he does, but we also know that you are very much a master at what you do, and you pick up all of the pieces, it seems, when anything falls. So thank you for being who you are and, how you are the glue. I mean, I see that in just a month of me being part of this. So Scott, what's your perspective on Kathy joining and sort of your story around that? I know that you have the same story, but sort of what's your feeling around that?
Yeah, so I knew of Kathy, but I knew right away. I knew as we were kind of going through the ASAP process that the things that she was looking for and the values that she had aligned with us, and I knew I needed somebody like Kathy because I have a lot of deficiencies, and she kind of fills in all those gaps. So, I mean, that's why it happened so quickly. It just I knew it was the right thing to do, and honestly, all of the good things that have happened and all the good things that we've been able to do as an organization absolutely would not happen without Kathy. I don't know if I'd be able to sleep at night knowing that I didn't have kind of that security blanket of having, you know, somebody with Kathy's brain. So she's crazy smart, and she's got a gigantic heart, and you can't ask for more than that. And I would say that's, you know, kind of the common denominator in our whole team. We just have super bright people that have huge hearts. So everybody buys in, and it's not like, you know, what's cool is I never feel like I have to, you know, manipulate people to buy into the vision. I think people just buy into kind of that vision of what we can accomplish.
Well, and it helps that you had me sign that lifelong contract that says I can't leave.
I did. So she has a million-year contract with us, so she really can't go anywhere, even if she wanted to.
Yeah. Well, I
So
know.
Annie, when I don't remember exactly when it was, but it was definitely within the first year of being at Something New, and I was sick, and I don't get sick very often, but actually stayed home sick, and Scott was texting me saying, check your mail. So I kept checking my email. There was nothing there. And he keeps texting me, you know, check your mail. And I'm like, I did what, like, I'm sick. What do you need right now? And he says, no, check your mailbox. So I go out to my mailbox, and there is a gift bag, a beautiful gift bag with tissue paper and everything. There's a get well card in there, 2 cans of chicken noodle soup, and a gift card to a pizzeria around the corner so that my kids could go and get themselves dinner so I didn't have to cook that night. Like, there is nothing in the world that a mother needs more when she's sick is for her kids to have dinner. And that was like the nicest. I love that.
Kathy, I just started to feel a little flushed, actually. I think I might be having something. I think I might be getting sick, Scott. No, that is, I know that story from when you told me when we first met, and I just think that that's a true testament to the person that you are, Scott. And
right.
You know, it's obviously something that has stuck with you, Kathy, and it really made an impression. And that's like really woven into the fabric of Something New. I mean, truly, it is part of what we do with our clients and with our candidates is the way that we treat them and the way that they feel after having, you know, interacted with us.
Right.
And part of that is that extra step. And that's the extra mile. It's one thing to send a quick text message, I hope you're feeling better. I mean, that's thoughtful, right? But it's the extra step and the extra mile. And that's what Something New brings, like with your post, Scott, with the Mercedes and the Toyota. Like, it's that extra mile, that like what you're really getting when you get Something New. So I just think that that's a really—
And what's the Maya Angelou quote that, you know, people don't remember what you said to them, but they remember how you made them feel. And that's, I think, for Something New, that's how people walk away, is they feel differently about how they're treated and how the interactions go. And I've seen that, like Scott said, with everybody on the team. We have an amazing team.
We do. And I think that's the other thing too, is there's like a lot of gap filling going on. Like you said, Scott, that Kathy picks up on a lot of the gaps of your deficiencies. Like we all in life have deficiencies and weaknesses and things that, you know, we don't do as well as other things that we do that are really strong in us. Right. But then like, I feel like our team really fills in the gaps for each other. Yeah. And that's something that my next question was actually going to be, you guys have sort of like a work wife and husband relationship. Like, you know, have you ever called somebody like your work wife? Like, you know, it's like a thing. I'm not just making that up. So like, you know, I've had a work husband before where it's like that the person of the opposite sex that like you work with that, you know, you just have this unbelievable connection and like basically sort of like a marriage, right? Now, I wanted to know what you guys attribute that to, because obviously over 4 years, you didn't know each other. I mean, you knew of each other, but you didn't know each other. So how did that sort of happen?
Like I said, I definitely knew Kathy, and I knew her family, and I knew her kids. I didn't know them well, but I knew them. And I knew she was an incredible person. I quickly figured out that she was crazy smart.
How about funny?
And funny. She is funny. She is really funny.
Wait, can I just time out for your answer for 1 second? I just have to raise my hand on my own podcast real quick. But like, I just have to tell you that like we had a string of text messages going on last weekend. But like, if anybody from outside of our company saw those text messages, they would have been like, these are very heavy drinkers, or like, you know, these people have a lot of freaking fun.
And I was not drinking, I promise.
It made so much sense and made so little sense at one time at the same time. You know, I just wanted to note that
honestly, Scott's sense of humor though is so I love Scott's sense of humor. We did laugh a lot when we were in the office.
It doesn't look like it, but I'm actually hilarious.
Yeah, very funny. Very similar senses of humor we have. And the one thing about Scott is that he is consistently Scott every single day, and has been for the last 4 years. I think 3 times I've seen him like stressed out, maybe. I mean, he is just the most level, positive, consistent. Like, he does not, you know, he says, or he does what he says, you know, and he means what he says and says what he means. He's just very consistent. And so when somebody's consistent, you can trust them. You can, you know, it creates a you know, level of being comfortable and and being able, you know, I'm not on edge. I'm not having to worry about anything because I know exactly where Scott stands all the time.
Yeah. And that sort of comes through with our clients as well, and sort of the ways you guys and we, you know, do business. I think it comes through that consistency and just that reliability and that trust factor. Linda calls you a unicorn. Scott, she's so sweet. So yeah, you're
that unicorn looks like a unicorn today.
Yeah, no, I have a lot of people, including Linda McGuigan, who make me look really good. So, you know, Leo used to say this all the time, and it's true, kind of better together. And we are definitely better together. So I think one thing that I understood right away when I was going to start this business is that I knew I could start the business and be like a solopreneur and just kind of make a really good living, but just do it myself. But I have like zero desire to do that. I love working with a team. I love having people around me that have great, smart ideas. I mean, Kathy is the brainchild behind our national holiday, Try Something New Week, which is awesome. So it's so much fun to surround yourself with great people. So, I mean, I appreciate all the accolades, but you know, the reason why you can stay calm in the face of adversity and things like that is when you have people that you can rely on. You know, I might be totally freaking out if I didn't have the support system that I have at home with my wife, and you know, at work with you guys. So, I mean, I appreciate all the accolades. Obviously, it makes me feel really good, but it's because of the team, and it's because of people that support us that aren't even on the team, like a Linda McGuigan, or there's just so many people that are in our corner rooting for us. That makes it easy.
Yeah. I mean, and we have a great, I've never been involved in an organization where there's a greater support network. And that's just a testament to how the team works together and what you guys do. And Scott, yes, they are accolades, but I have to say that it is absolutely your team that supports you. And what I saw before I was a part of it, you know, it's the greatness around you, and it just makes you even greater. So it's not so much about, there's no smoke blowing here. Like, this is legit, and you know it's true. So, but Kathy, if I could ask you on a little more of a personal level, like, what is your why? Like, even aside from something new, like when you know, what gets you, I know you want to go to work at 4 a.m, but like, what gets you out of bed in the morning, legitimately? Like, what's your personal why?
Yeah, I've always wanted to help people. And I was a teacher many years ago, and I remember when I was a freshman in college, and the professor sent around an index card and said, like, what do you want to do with your life?
Mm-hmm.
Or, you know, what do you want to do? And I wrote down there, I want to change the world. And when the class was over, he called me over and he was like, who says that? He's like, everybody else was like, I want to be a teacher. I want to graduate in 4 years, whatever. He's like, you said you want to change the world, but I always have. And so, however, I can do that. And, you know, we might not be changing the world, but I think we are making a ripple, you know, in the pond, and we're doing a lot of good for a lot of people through something new. Gratitude is like a huge part of my personal life, and it's a huge part of the company. We talk about being grateful for each other, for the, you know, for everything. Our campaign about, you know, for the books and everything is always about gratitude. So it just really is in line with what I do. And I've said this too, is Scott doesn't just support us at work, but he supports us with outside of work. So if it's a family issue or a pet project or a site, whatever. And so, you know, I have all along been doing coaching, and Scott has, instead of making me kind of put that aside and on the back burner and not really talk about it, he's supported me. He, you know, put me in a class, you know, put me in a certificate class. And I can't remember the quote that's on the wall, but one day I was in my office and he came in with this huge wall art and put it on my wall. Do you remember what it is, Scott? It's like, you know, it's about finding your passion, you know, and so he's really very supportive of like the whole person. And so he's allowing me, and I do think it's allowing me to kind of, you know, to do that coaching and do that other work that's really important to me on the side as well.
I completely can relate to that, because it's one of the reasons that I joined, was just like, I'll never forget, like, all of you two especially, saying to me, like, there's this whole living with Anitude thing that you're doing, and like this brand that you have, and we don't want that to go away. Like, we want that to be part of us, and we want to all be like a family and sort of bring in not only your values, but the things that you're doing. And it truly is not what you see out there typically, like when you interview, you know, they're like, yeah, you're not doing that. They barely, you know, companies barely like, you know, care about your children, let alone, you know, your side gig or your other passions, when really a true boss or a true leader, you know, a really good leader is going to say, bring all of you, you know, you're a package, you come as one thing. You know, so it's truly just sort of miraculous what you've done here, guys. And I just wanted to thank you, Kathy. It's been so nice to spotlight you. I'm going to bring one more person in. Ali's here, and I'm just going to see if she has any words of wisdom.
Ali Fischer, the two-hand wave.
Double hand wave.
Oh, Annie's the same.
We do the same thing.
I'm not the only one anymore.
So Ali, before we get into our little show where we talk about Something New Labs and we let Scott go and look adorable with his haircut, and Kathy can walk with her day doing everything she does, do you have any words for Kathy?
I would just echo what you said. It's one of the reasons why I joined the team was for very similar reasons. I mean, aside from, of course, making a bigger impact and, all that rigmarole, but it's joining a team that truly cares about the whole person. Kathy has been so supportive of me. I mean, personally and professionally, and I can't thank her enough. And yeah, I would just echo what you said. I think it's, yeah.
We love
That's
you.
easy.
Arlene.
I know. I love you guys.
We love you guys. Yeah.
So,
so special.
You two on that side, this side of the screen, not Ali, not the two A's. The two A's are staying, you two are out. So it's
Kathy's got work to do.
Yeah, I got a lot to do.
4 o'clock, so.
Get some business. Let's do this. People
All
over
right, bye
everything.
guys.
Bye,
Bye,
Kat.
guys.
Great to have you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. See ya.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
And Ali, it's us. Great timing, girlfriend. Oh, I have to remove you, right? Okay. There we go. Wait, no. What happened, Allie? Okay, bye.
Wrong box.
So those two can either stay, they can hang up. They're hanging out in the backyard. But
Kathy's a gem. I mean, she's, I don't, Scott found a good one. Eons ago.
He just ducked. He's leaving the, he's staying on. So I guess they don't know they have to X out of it, whatever. So they're backstage.
Oh, okay.
So Allie, today you and I get to talk about Something New Labs and something that's really
part two.
Part two, which was the onboarding portion of Something New Labs. So let's recap last week real quick, if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah. So last week we talked a little bit about the overarching picture. So we have 3 pillars: talent acquisition, onboarding, and retention. The entire goal is to hire and keep great people.
Yes.
To think of, I mean, similar to what you were just discussing about what Something New does as a company, it's considering the whole person, like the whole employee. It's not just your company. Ultimately, if you care about your people and who they are at their deepest levels, then they're going to care more about your company.
Absolutely.
So you should care to train them, and do what you can to give them the best experience, relative to the specifics of the job. But you really want to get to know them as real humans and what makes them tick, what's important to them, what their passions are, so they can bring their best selves. So we talked a little bit about those 3, right? The three buckets, and we got into the talent acquisition piece, which is the candidate piece. It's the candidate experience piece. I think we were on a call the other day. We were talking about how, if you have 100 people interviewing, you shouldn't just focus on the one person that's going to get the job. You need to focus on the 99 that are not going to get the job, because those 99 people are going to be your adversaries potentially if you don't treat them well, or they're going to be your advocates. They're going to bring other people into your company if you don't hire them. I mean, imagine that, right? You reject somebody and they're still a supporter of your company. I mean, how fantastic is that?
The other day, it's your first touch point. I mean, it's your first
touch point.
It's like you're almost, just like your first interaction. And so not enough companies sort of look at that and see the importance level of that. And they're just scurrying around because they don't have their processes in place, right? To just get somebody in the seat, and everything else falls by the wayside. And it's just so super important to have that candidate experience be what we can teach you to make it be.
Yeah. So, intention and strategy. You have to have the both of them. You can't be thoughtful or not thoughtful with your process. You have to have actual tangible strategies in place that make sense. You have to believe in them.
That are, we simplify that process and make them really logical for you. So the next pillar and piece is the onboarding process. Let's talk a little bit about what onboarding, when people think onboarding, I'm not sure they really know the depth of it. So let's talk a little bit about that and what that means.
Yeah, I think, I think onboarding, people think of training or, on a basic level, people think onboarding is here's your computer and your login.
Have a great time. Good luck.
Yeah. Which is unfortunately what a lot of companies do. Their onboarding process is the better part of maybe shy of a week. And it is setting up your software, your logins, giving you an HR handbook, going over administrative duties. Maybe if you're lucky, they'll show you like the lay of the land around the office, which is even lacking, I think, on some companies. They expect you to figure that out yourself. Maybe you'll have a brief conversation with your manager, and then you're like off to the races.
Well, and especially like if you're remote, which, I was always remote being in pharma, but like if you're remote, even, now more so than ever, it's sort of just like you're thrown to the wolves. Like, here's your logins, and like, you'll meet with, so-and-so maybe later, and that's about it.
Yeah, even greater intention, I think, needs to go into the virtual, because you're lacking the actual human connection. Connection. So yeah, I think that their onboarding is the depth of onboarding is often not misunderstood or not understood. It is immersing your employee in your company culture, with your team, with your executive team, your organizational structure, the larger mission of your company, the goals of your company, what each person does and what they contribute and how they relate to you and your role.
Yep. Everything is interconnected.
How the puzzle pieces fit relative to you and your specific job responsibilities, but also the bigger picture sort of outside of you, so that you can really believe and buy in to the company.
Yeah, I can't honestly say that I've ever had that experience. Like I've never had that experience. No. Maybe a couple of, but not a comprehensive process at all.
Me neither. And I don't know if executives or maybe even the hiring manager, the direct managers, feel that maybe it's not important. Like that's just it's too big. It's too over their heads at this point. Why should they? Why should we have to discuss that at this stage? But
let them read the website. It'll say the mission.
I beg to differ. I mean, that's putting it mildly. I beg to differ. You want your employees to feel vested in your company, and that's not just okay. Here's your job description. Like get ready for your KPIs and your performance evaluation. It's like, why are you here? How do you contribute? How does everybody else contribute to the greater company? Because if the company doesn't succeed, you're not ultimately going to succeed. You're not potentially going to have a job going forward. So why wouldn't you want to know what that looks like and how you can play into that, especially if you're coming into a company and you are looking for growth? I mean, most people I don't think are looking for stagnancy when they work at a company.
Forever, right? No, they don't.
Yeah, I'm going to be in this entry level job, and I have no desire for advancement. So, the bigger picture, as people say, is important. Pulling in the department heads and the larger players, executive level, is important too. I mean, they don't have to like open up their financial portfolio. That's not the point. And I think that's where people miss the boat. Like, transparency does not mean like pulling out your financials and explaining everything. It's just, who am I as a CFO or a CRO or a CIO, and what do I do? What do I contribute? How am I going to interact with you? What are my goals? How do I play into the bigger picture at the company?
You know what I have to, first of all, just so you have it, my son is saying hello. So
there he is. We're getting used to him. He's like a fixture.
It's like, this is what my kids do. They torture me. So, but funny. Aside from Sammy,
Hi, Sammy. Where's Evie?
Hi, bud. Yeah, next one that'll come up. She's probably right here outside my office.
Yeah, right.
But I think that what is missed sometimes is like, it seems like a lot, but it's what Something New does, at least like the way we've talked about it and the way we've worked with clients before, is like we simplify this whole process. We hand them a process. This is what you need to do, and then it's a given. It becomes a way of life there instead of all of these complicated ways of doing things and lack of process, right?
Yeah, and you don't know what you don't know. We talked about this last week too. That I think that a lot of leaders or companies as a whole just don't think about this. Like they don't think that it's not even a matter of saying, well, I don't think it adds value. I think there's a lot of leaders that say, well, we're specifically not going to discuss these things because it's too complicated or it doesn't add value. I think that there's in some cases, it's an intentional no. But I think in a lot of cases, people just don't understand the value and they don't even think about it. Like they see onboarding as meeting with their direct manager, maybe involving the team, and that's it.
Yeah.
Like they don't even think to bring in the CFO
Yeah.
or the CRO or the CMO. Like
there's so much going on, and I think people just think this is going to take a long time and be this intricate process and be really in the nitty gritty of things. No. And it's like that's what we do. You know, that's how we simplify things.
Yeah, and you said it. It's if you see it as an overcomplication, then you get ahead of yourself and you're like, well, why would we do that? It doesn't add any value. Let's not even go there. Right. But it does add significant value. Onboarding is immersion on all levels, on culture, on mission, on organization, on roles and responsibilities. We have a section about team, understanding that when a new person joins your team, your whole team changes.
The whole dynamic changes. It's like a baby being born. Think about it, like somebody being added to your family. The dynamic changes. You're no longer the second child. Now you're So go ahead. I just wanted to say.
No, it's a great analogy. You're hiring intentionally. Hopefully, if we've done talent acquisition right with the first pillar, you're hiring intentionally. You're thinking of your team, not just the job when you're hiring that person. So you hope that they're going to fit. I mean, you're intentionally choosing them to fit.
Sure.
But the whole dynamic is going to change. So you have to immerse them in the team. You need to get the team on board. And that does not happen on day one. So onboarding doesn't begin when butt is in seat. Onboarding begins well in advance, and how you intentionally introduce the person to the group, to the organization, to the world, how you announce them in social media. And it's how you create that bond with your team, with your manager, with the company, and with the bigger picture. It's not just here's your laptop, here's a company overview, here's the handbook, here's your process, here's what you're going to be doing on a day-to-day. Like, go figure it out. You need to be committed. Like, I'm sorry, it sucks for you if you don't think that it's worth it, but like the hiring manager, when you hire someone, you need to be committed to that person's advancement, because it's not going to help them and it's not going to help you if you're not committed.
And that's why we preach people over everything. That is planting the seeds of the relationship that's going to form down the line to make your company tick, to make things in the process move, to make it be a well-oiled machine, right? Yeah. You can't have that without these pieces. And that's what I think is often missed. And it really seems hard to slow down and think about these things and put a process in place, but it's the cost savings too down the line, and what it adds in value, both monetarily as well as connection-wise and culture-wise, is astronomical.
Yes, so onboarding takes anywhere from 3 to 6 months, and that's just the training process, getting them familiar with their job, their client base, the company structure, the team, where they really fit, what their short and long-term goals are, what their KPIs are. Imagine you invest all that time, you do a really shitty job, and that person winds up leaving, because within the first 6 months, most people know if they're going to stay or if they're going to go. Mm-hmm. And that's directly related to onboarding, poor onboarding. So you do a crappy job. You've just spent 3 months hiring them. Takes about 3 months or so to hire a solid employee. If you've hired an outside recruiting firm, you're spending potentially tens of thousands of dollars. If you're not, you're still spending tens of thousands of dollars between your resources and the lost productivity and lost revenue and all the time that everybody that's still sitting there needs to pick up for the lost person, right? Yep. Mm-hmm. Then you spend time, but you do a crappy job, then they leave. So if you add that time together, it's about 9 months.
Right.
So, and you take the person's salary, whatever it is, you've lost 9 months of that person's salary.
Yep.
And on top of that, you've lost sales, you've potentially lost client confidence, client loyalty. No client likes turnover.
Not to mention, for even put that aside, the culture and the general feeling of the morale of the company, and the people that are picking up for that person that's lost, and the people that are kind of saying, why isn't there a damn process in place? And now we lost
has a cost.
Now we're back at square one.
Yeah.
And your whole culture and morale gets turned upside down.
Yeah, it has a huge cost. Your employees are listening and they're watching and they're pissed. I mean, when I came from a company that had high turnover, and don't think that the people that are left behind are not angry at leadership for ignoring it and doing nothing about it. I think I had a recent post where it's like, putting your head in the sand is not a process for hiring or retention. It's like, you can't bury your head in the sand. That's not a solution.
I mean, think about the positives that this brings when it's done correctly, right? Like think about employees watching and listening and seeing that process in place and that onboarding. Look, I did that too, and this really helped with this, and sort of brings the team together and makes this forms this bond that, I personally have never really experienced. I would love that experience if I started at a new company and there was a process in place and I knew what I was going to be doing next and I knew what was going to happen for the first 90 and then at day 91 also. Yeah. I mean, it would just bring my entire personality to the forefront and make me more committed as an employee and make me more apt to align with those values.
How many employees don't like coming to work on Monday? It's not just because of maybe they don't like the job responsibilities. Lots of times it's because they don't like who they work with. They're not happy with the leadership. They're not happy with the direction. They think that there's a complete lack of transparency. They feel undervalued. Why is that? I mean, that's directly related to things like turnover, things like training, lack of development, lack of feedback. These are all things that retain employees.
The personal development and professional development is such a positive key factor in developing, at least in my experience, in developing me and developing other employees into becoming better. And it's better for your organization. It makes everything overall better. So, focusing on those things, is such a benefit for everybody. It's like in everybody, people over everything, everybody wins. That's the whole thing. It's like everybody win. It's like a win-win situation.
It is. And that is pillar number 3. So you're giving people a little
No,
taste.
sorry.
No, it's great. It's great. So tune in next week.
Yes.
Because retention, ultimate. So you train people, right? Going back to the onboarding, you train them, you invest in their development. You have assimilated them. It doesn't just end. It's not like, okay, 3 months, we're done. Line in the sand. It doesn't end that way. I mean, yes, you can have an intense development stage, just like we do with our program. It's 3 to 4 months of intense SomethingNew labs. And then it's cleanup. It's your time to renew and ensure that you're catching up on all the things and doing right by all the things that you've learned in that intensive program. But your manager or your leader, whoever it is that you're having direct relationships with, doesn't just sort of ignore you. You don't just drop off the map after that program is over. They need to be meeting with you quarterly on KPIs. I'm all for weekly, like informal check-ins. It doesn't mean you're formally sitting down with people, because I think sometimes that could be intimidating, but it could be like, we have our morning check-ins where we talk about a lot of stuff, but you can have a conversation with somebody and have it go off intentionally, sort of have it go off on a tangent to give them some feedback on something that they did that week. Yeah. But
as you feel like you have a voice and you're matter and you're important, and as an employee, I mean, you know how that feels versus how it feels when you don't have that. Like you as a person just matters, and the whole company can flourish. From that. So I just think that that's so important. Again, and I keep honing in on the same thing: just people over everything, because it makes so much sense. It's so logical, but yet it's often missed.
It is, and I think Scott mentioned it. I don't know if it was last week or maybe the week before, that it's often mistaken as this like kumbaya, fluffy, intangible. It is not at all. I mean, on its deepest levels, it's going to make you more profitable. It's going to reduce your turnover. It's going to improve your morale. It's going to improve your productivity, improve your customer satisfaction. And these are all things that turn into long-term sustainability
Right.
We preach that you should be doing this as early as humanly possible. We understand if you're a 2 or 3 person team, fine. I mean, I get it. But ideally, we would love to come in with people when they're a 3 or 4 person team and have them really start to think about these things. Don't wait until your employees are complaining.
Right.
Because now you're doing damage control. Not only do you have to implement great procedures with new employees, but you have to put out fires with the people that are there that are pissed off at you.
Right.
It's very hard. It's because you're managing 2 different perceptions: the old perception and the new people who are coming in like, oh, this is fantastic. Like they welcome me. Like onboarding is great. And everyone that's sitting on the floor is like, this place sucks. Like my onboarding was horrible. But the people that are coming in are having a totally different experience. And there's a toxicity that exists on the floor that is polluting your new employee population. You don't want that either. So you want to do it when things are good. Think about it when things are good.
And that kumbaya stuff is a byproduct. That kumbaya stuff that we talk about, that perception, there is a true piece to that there is an amazing company culture that can be formed by doing it. And it's organic versus being forced, right? So, I mean, putting these...
I mean, we call culture is important. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's a hot topic for a reason. But I think that, a lot of CEOs think it's a crock of shit. Like, it's like, it's like a big thing now, blah, blah. Like and sorry, it's not. I mean, you can talk to your employees. It's everything. They come to work largely because of the people that they're working with and feeling that they can contribute and make a difference to something bigger than themselves. And then to be rewarded for that. Not because they're sitting coding all day or, I mean, they have to feel valued. And that comes from a lot of things. So on the retention, like you were talking about personal development, the retention piece is what do you do now to sustain those employees?
Right.
How do you care about them as a whole person? And we'll talk, in full detail about that next time, because that's like the nail in the coffin, the positive nail in the coffin. But that's like, what do you finally do to keep it going, to keep that momentum going after you've invested the time in the hiring process and you're creating this great momentum with employee experience and the training is fantastic. And now it's like, you don't let them just fall off a cliff.
Right.
You have to keep that momentum going.
Yeah. So a little bit more specifically, can you tell me, like, if you had to pick out 3 of the main pieces of our puzzle for the onboarding piece? I just want to touch on, like, a little bit more specifics first before we have to wrap up.
Yeah, sure. So we talk about pre-boarding. It's not a plane, but what do you do prior to the employee actually starting? Again, big misnomer that onboarding is day 1. It is not. It is actually even sort of before they're actually hired. I mean, you're almost grooming them to really want to work at your company. You're like, the magnet is there. You're like pulling them in, drawing them into who you are, you personally, if you're the HR person and you're the lead, making them think about, oh my God, this is going to be a great place to work, and all that entails. So we've got some interesting creative ideas as to what you can offer your employee before they've ever started. I mean, we do, you and I both posted about business cards, something new. Who knows if we're ever going to hand them out, right? It doesn't matter. It's like irrelevant. I'm
handing them out to everyone in my neighborhood. I don't know about you.
No, I haven't handed them out yet. I'm like hoarding them. No. But I was so excited to get them. I mean, the thought that goes into our business, they're beautiful. First of all, they have a quote on the back.
They have a quote, like our favorite quote on the back. Hold on, I'm going to show. Hold on. It's hard to get this thing open. Hold on.
I'd have to get up and get mine. So I'll let you show yours.
Okay.
And yours is your quote, right? You quoted yourself?
Wait, how do I show?
No, it's
here.
Okay.
Right. And it has my contact info. And when you turn it around, it says my quote.
There's just a little glare. But yeah.
Oh, okay. It says living with Annie-tude. It's more than a name. It's a way of life. Annie Leib. So you can put your favorite quote, or you can put your own quote, which I did, because that's my way of life. Those are the values I live by, living with Annie-tude. So it's just a little something that just makes you sort of say, this is so different. This is so different than
the
other
personal touches. We have on our website little fun facts about us all.
Yeah.
It's a way to introduce us to the world. We were introduced on social media. I think it was sort of the day that we officially started, but you can do that in advance. You want to make the person feel welcome and announced and like it's official. They're part of the team.
You matter. You're important. You're a part of this team, and that's exactly how, like, we practice what we preach, which I think is, super important.
Yeah. And we have a section talking about KPIs, for instance, and providing feedback. I think the feedback piece is, I could be mistaken, but, how do you have constant conversations with people during that process to keep the dialogue open?
We called it, like, we've always called it, like, almost keeping them warm. Like you're having the person warm and engaged. They're not forgotten about. They're being onboarded, but it's like you're involved in every single piece.
Yeah.
And there's just a really easy sort of simplified process that can make this all happen.
Yeah. We have parts talking about the team, like team integration, which is really important because it can't just be the manager and the direct report. It's not that. Unless you're a one-man band, but let's presume that you're not. Right. It has to be a well thought out process. Don't have the manager be on vacation if you could try to avoid it.
Right. Like do something. I think that's such a key, is getting like ingratiated into your team and like, how it's woven together and the team members. It's so important to lay that foundation.
Yes.
When that person starts, because I just said it before, but it's like a new baby. Like, it does change the entire dynamic, personality. Yes. And, if you can plant those seeds in the beginning of establishing a process, a simplified process that everybody follows and is in alignment with, it just makes things a lot easier.
Yeah. You need to communicate. I think most of the stuff that we talk about goes back to having solid communication. Even going back to the talent acquisition piece, a lot of things fail because you have one person at the helm, but they're not discussing the job application or the job posting or the job description with the people that are actually going to be working with the person that's hired. So like, you need to have that communication. You need to know, I'm going to interview them first, then they're going to be passed to this person, and why. You need to know why. Then that person is going to do this and they're going to do this, and there are steps. But that's how you collaborate with each other. Onboarding is the same thing. It's collaboration. It's team collaboration. It's interdepartmental collaboration. It's letting people know that person is starting. I can't count. I don't have enough fingers and toes to tell you how many times people used to start at my prior life.
And you had no idea who they were.
No idea. You would just see someone random, and I would be like, should I be calling security? Like, who's this person? Yeah. And you'd find out that they were, somebody, by the way, that I was going to be dealing with. Now, on a day-to-day basis, probably. Not to say that I needed to be brought into the interview process, but if I'm going to be probably one of their internal clients, ultimately, shouldn't you be introducing them to me on day one? Well, and then having me be part of the onboarding process to let them know how I'm going to be interacting with them?
Exactly. And not only that, it's like, it affects the culture because of you and how you're feeling when, that your importance level and like,
oh my God,
their importance level, and everybody the intercommunication with everybody. And it just has a ripple effect. We always talk about the ripple effect. It really does.
It does. And then you have employees, people coming to someone like me saying, who the hell is the guy on the floor? And I'm like, I don't know. And how does that make, really, there's a ripple effect of embarrassment and lack of leadership that happens with that trickle down too.
And think about how good the leadership looks when you do that. Think about how
horrible. But in my position, I would have to say, oh, that's so-and-so, but I've been put in some really precarious situations before where like someone, I don't know, went on vacation or went out on disability for a month and I was never told about it. And they're like, well, where's our contact with so-and-so in that department? Like, who are we supposed to be talking to relative to this new job responsibility? Because I heard that we were hiring for that job now. And I'm like, that's news to me. I didn't realize that we were filling a role.
This,
And I'm like, you need to have levels of communication, especially at the leadership level. I mean, we're not the people that we're dealing with are not 10,000 employees, 10,000 employee organizations. It's manageable. You're dealing with companies that are 500 or less. I mean, in some cases, they're 100 or less. There's no excuse for lack of communication.
Yeah. I mean, and when you do have that, what comes out of it, just like I've been saying this whole time, just the overarching theme is just this general positivity and positive culture and happiness and contentment and open lines of communication that are just really pleasant to deal with, and people want to go to work and they're happy there. And then they believe in your company and they do a better job because of it. So
and you have to have that from top down. I mean, there are a lot of discussions that you can have, entry level, mid-level employees sort of pushing these initiatives. I would disagree with that. I mean, I think that you can have an uprising.
Well, everybody,
but you're not going to have it's not going to succeed unless you have leadership buy-in.
Yeah.
You need the top down full support. And they have to really believe it. They have to believe it wholeheartedly. They can't fake it because employees are going to know. You can only perpetuate a lie for so long.
Yeah.
So you really have to believe in people over everything. You have to believe it. Yeah.
It's super important. And it all, we say there's different pillars, but it all is part and parcel of each other. They're all interwoven and connected, and they all ripple and affect each other like dominoes. And that's what makes Something New Labs so amazing. Just sort of a comprehensive but simplified way of doing things and process. So
the logic, it's a very logic based, strategical, statistical, but very logic based. And we are there to see you through the entire thing. It's very customizable. We're not trying to like fit you into a box. It's not, that's not our goal. We're there to really understand what your pain points are, what you do well, what you're struggling with, what you don't do well, what you don't do at all. Because I mean, that's the challenges that we face, is that a lot of our clients just don't do this. And then where we can best serve you to fix those problems in a way that you can manage and continue without us at some point.
My favorite part about what we do, and why major reason that besides Something New and its values that I took the job on, was because we are advisors. We are helping them. We are healing and helping things that may have been broken. We are helping to make them find their truest selves and authenticity, and do things in a way where their values can shine through. So that's part of, that aligns with everything I stand for, so that's part of what makes Something New so amazing.
Yeah, you're trying to pull the best out of them. I mean, in this case, it happens to be for talent strategy. But I mean, you're trying to pull out of them better communication skills, better connectivity, better compassion. It is rooted in human connection. But yeah, it's so logical that I think the light bulbs start to go off. Like, oh wow, why didn't I think of that before? Like, holy crap!
I know, it's so funny. It's just, when it comes down to it, the bottom line at the end of the day is simple ways to change your existing processes, and that's it. That's really it. But we are at the end of our time, my friends.
We are
so fast. I'm so glad we got to chat today, and we'll be back next week talking a little bit more about labs and our final pillar, which is retention. And I look forward.
I can't wait. So much fun. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being on. I love it. Everybody that was jumping in with comments and stuff, I'm sorry I didn't pull you in. We love you. It's been really nice.
We'll come back on after and answer them.
All right. I will talk to you later, Ali. And guys, everybody, peace. Have a great weekend.
Bye, guys.